is the third pillar of the 4 pillars of joy in daily living?
So the third pillar we call Shakti Bhava, emotional resilience. Shakti Bhava. And of course, this pillar is dependent upon the first two, right? In order to have emotional resilience, in order to sustain emotional resilience, you have to be able to really harness the spiritual power, and you have to develop an improved mental state. The emotions are very, very powerful. And so emotions, if not directed properly, can keep the mind in a prison of agitation. And this, I'm sure you know, everyone knows this. This is an experience that people have a lot. Because again, what we have found through our case studies, our surveys, and our research is that most people ride the emotional roller coaster. We call this emotional slavery. That people are used to riding the emotional roller coaster, so much so that there are many people who believe that that's what it takes to be human. They think that if I'm not riding an emotional roller coaster, I'm not being human. And this could not be further from the truth. Now, it is true, while we are embodied, we are gifted with humanity. And it's very important to express this humanity. This is something that we must do. That expression takes the form of emotions. Now, the challenge is to be able to express, to feel, and to express the emotions without becoming a slave to them. So most people exist in a state of emotional slavery. And this is very unfortunate, but it can be quickly cured. So the steps that we take in Shakti Bhava to increase emotional resilience, we have a number of methods, but there is a primary method that we utilize that people find very, very helpful. This is called the principle and the practice of the arc. The principle and practice of the arc. The principle is this: the understandings that you reach for and embrace will always dictate how you feel in the moment and the subsequent emotions that you experience in that moment and from moment to moment. Always, right? So feelings, emotions are expressed, they manifest as a result of understandings. So your understandings dictate how you feel and the subsequent emotions that are being expressed. And then based on the emotions that are being expressed, that dictates how you're vibrating in the moment, meaning what you're putting out, what you're projecting into consciousness. And what you're projecting into consciousness always dictates who and what you attract into your daily mundane existence, who and what you attract into your life. Now, every person is responsible for this. And I know so many people that say, well, you know, I'm on my third relationship from hell. Why do I have to go through this? Well, it's because of what you're putting out. We have a saying here, a yogi's first duty is full responsibility. And with respect to the arc, it's very important that you take full responsibility for who and what you're attracting into your daily mundane existence. And so that comes by way of the understanding of this principle of the arc. And then there is a practice of the arc, extremely important for Shakti Bhava, for increasing emotional resilience. We start with an examination. And that examination is this: most people, again, case studies that we've done, surveys, and our research indicates that so many people embrace understandings that they've been given without questioning them. We're raised in this way. And so the very first step in the practice of the arc is to sit down and to really bluntly examine, where have you gotten your understandings from? Parents, teachers, authority figures, friends, associates, lovers, husband, wife, media, popular culture. And so the list goes on and on, but the importance of this practice is to really first have a very direct examination where you determine what understandings have you accepted blindly without examining, just because they were fed to you. Are those understandings still useful for the direction in which you are headed spiritually, to permanent spiritual transformation, ultimately liberation? Are those understandings useful? Because if they're not, you have to discard them. So the practice of the arc is to first examine those understandings, then to discard understandings that are no longer useful. To be replaced with what? Well, we are very, very fortunate in our Siddha nation that we have sages of steady wisdom who have provided us with wisdom through their utterances. They give us these really great, the highest, purest understandings for our spiritual progress. And so this is where true spiritual leadership comes in. This is a function of two things. First, full Kundalini awakening, which is known as Shaktipat. This is an absolute necessity from the very beginning. And second, to have leadership where you can easily go through this process with respect to the arc and begin to discard those understandings that you yourself observe are no longer useful for the direction in which you are headed spiritually. Some people find this difficult because they think that if they discard useless understandings that they got from their parents, for example, that that's going to put a wedge in their interaction with their parents, or it's going to put a wedge in their interaction with lovers or friends. You know, I always say this: if the people you're interacting with are truly your friends, they're never going to object to your improving spiritually. That's never going to happen. That only happens when you have surrounded yourself with people who are not true friends. A true friend, even if they don't want to engage in the practices or in the path that you're engaged in, a true friend will always say, look, I support you if this is what you want for yourself, and I see you changing, I see you growing, I think this is great. So, again, with Shakti Bhava, this is the process, right? You go through it so that you can work the process both ways. You can start with understandings and begin to discard useless understandings and to embrace more useful understandings, to see how that impacts how you feel and whether or not you're released from emotional slavery, and then how that causes you to vibrate, and subsequently what that does with respect to who or what you attract into your life. And I know from my own experience, this was a complete revelation. Because before meeting my guru, I was so emotionally enslaved. And I did think that I was, this great human being because I could get, down in the trenches and be emotionally enslaved as other people. Misery does love company. This is true. And so after meeting my Sri Gurudev, I really began this examination in earnest, and I had shocking revelations about how I had reached for and embraced understandings without even examining them. There were understandings that I embraced just because I wanted to be part of a peer group, because I didn't want to suffer peer pressure. There are understandings that I embraced because I wrongly thought that it would bring me closer to a lover or a friend, right? There's this old thing that friendship is determined by how many things you like that are similar, right? This is true in love relationships or intimate relationships also. I think, I don't know why, but this is how so many people function. Right? They go down a list and, do you like this movie? Do you like this music? what did you think of Eat, Pray, Love? Because I saw that 250 times. You better not say you don't like it, because then we're going to have to break up. You know, this is stupid stuff. But this is the pressure of being emotionally enslaved. And so you can work it this way from the top, starting with understandings. Or you can start by examining from the other direction, who and what do I continue to attract into my daily existence that is no longer working for the direction in which I want to go? You can start there, right? You can say, well, this is the 10th, relationship from hell. What am I putting out that is causing me to attract these people into my life, right? You can start there and work backwards to then examine how you're vibrating that causes you to attract those people, places, and things into your life. And then from there, how you're vibrating to look at what your emotional state is, and then source, well, what are the understandings that have caused me to contract in this way? So you can work it back and forth both ways. This is the art, Shaktipat. I'll end by saying one thing. If your intention is permanent spiritual transformation, if you want the indescribable joy of your God nature, it is imperative that you examine all understandings that you hold, all. So this is Shaktipat.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Namah Shivaya.